Hey, welcome to a new episode of the Mindset Up Show. In these solo episodes, I'll share more about my entrepreneurial journey, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And today, I want to talk with you about prioritizing. I sometimes have the feeling that I'm juggling a lot of different stuff that don't necessarily get me closer to my goals. So, to give an example, I live in Madrid, so I try and study Spanish, but I am also growing a business. I'm also doing this podcasting. I'm also training for a marathon that's coming in the end of April. And I'm also going to the gym twice a week. And I still want to have a nice social life here in Madrid. I'm not here forever, so I want to enjoy the time here as much as I can. So those are all different things that I'm doing, that I'm currently prioritizing, but it's just a little bit much sometimes. And maybe you have the same feeling that you do all this different stuff in your life because you think it's fun to do different stuff, to go on adventures, to chase new opportunities, to go out with friends, to do whatever. And sometimes it's just too much. You just have the feeling like, damn, there's only 16 hours in a day because you have to sleep for 8 hours, but you want to run, you want to go to the gym, you want to work, you want to go and grab a coffee, you want to go and make a podcast episode, you want to grow your business. And sometimes I just have the feeling like, holy shit, I don't have enough time in the day. And I was talking about this with my coach, and we were discussing. He actually brought up an anecdote of Warren Buffett, that Warren Buffett asked his pilot, who was working for him 20 years or so, I don't know, and he asked him the question like, you're working already for such a long time for me, but don't you have other goals? Don't you have other dreams you want to pursue? And he wrote all those goals and dreams down on a list. And then Warren turned to him and said, okay, now choose of all these goals, choose only 3. And all the other goals that you do not choose, put them in the avoid at all costs list. So that's something that I'm going to do for myself as well. So I decided that I'm going to skip learning Spanish. Why? Because I'm here until the end of June. It's currently 19 February. The chances are little that I'm going to speak fluent Spanish until that time. So I might as well just use that time for something that will give me a better return on investment on my goals. And that's the podcast that's growing my business. So I've decided to delete that. And my coach asked me as well, okay, what are the 3 things that you want to prioritize? And obviously, Client Revolution is number 1. The podcast is number 2, I said. And running and going to the gym is number 3. And he gave me a very good insight that maybe can be useful for you as well. And he asked me like, okay, your podcast, what is it about? And I said, yeah, it's like my therapeutic hour in a week where I just chat about how life is going. But I also want to do interviews with people that I found interesting. And he told me, or he said to me like, okay, hearing what you want to do with your podcast, hearing the topics of the podcast, it seems to me that Client Revolution and the podcast, they fall under the same bucket. So instead of having 3 big things that I need to prioritize, I right now only have 2, which is the business, Client Revolution, and the podcast is a part of that. And the second thing is running and going to the gym. So that gave me a lot of clarity in my head, and I saw how these 2 things intertwine, because to be completely honest, the interview that I've posted, I think last week, with Ryan Christensen. I found him through a website called matchmaker.fm, and when I told this to my coach, he said that this was the laziest way somebody could ever go and gather guests for his podcast. And he was actually so right. And I also said to him, like, I love the solo episodes. It's really something, it's my therapeutic session. I'm just chatting about life. But the interviews, I'm going to skip them. Because, first of all, I don't like it. I don't like to do it. Second of all, the guests that I'm speaking, with all due respect to the people who are on matchmaker.fm, but they are just not the people that I want to meet. They are not the people that I want to speak. So in that moment, I decided like, okay, but how can I link the podcast to Client Revolution? And it all makes sense. I'm just going to interview people who are in my niche, who have a creator business, who help people in the creator business to expand my network. And that makes way more sense than going on matchmaker.fm and just reaching out to random people that I haven't met, that I didn't know, that I do not have any affinity with. So that's something that I learned from the coaching session that I had this week. And again, all due respect to the people from matchmaker.fm. I've met 2 of them. They were very kind. They were very nice. But it's just not something that I'm looking for at this moment. So I decided to quit being lazy and to take matter in my own hands and really invite people that I want to speak, that I want to meet. So stay tuned for that. That will be coming. And I hope that you can have a look at your priority list as well. And maybe you have something that you can link to each other. So, for example, you're training for a marathon, but you still want to have a social life. Well, maybe you can go on run dates with friends, with family. I don't know, but that's maybe something that you can do to link your social life to your running goal. And it can be in other aspects as well, content creation, business, in your work. I don't know, just have a look for yourself if you can link these things to each other, and then you reduce your amount of priorities and it just creates more clarity in your head. At least that's the case for me. I only hope that it can help you as well, but you choose to do with it what you want. And another thing is that last week I was talking about finding balance between quality and quantity when doing outreach, but I actually forgot to take in one huge thing, and that's consistency. I'm the type of person who's really a go-getter. I have an idea, I just completely go for it, and oftentimes I go so hard or I go so strong that I just burn myself out. So for example, with outreaching as well, then I think, okay, I have to reach as many people as I could and I need to make it the best I can. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to send 250 outreaches. I'm going to send 15 outreaches. And I didn't keep in mind, can I do that consistently? And to be honest, I don't know. And if I'm really, really honest, I don't think I can. So that's something that I want to take in account as well. Quality and quantity. How can you do this in a consistent manner? Because if I go right now and I DM 250 people and next week I'm DMing 2 people, then what's the point? I need something that I can do every single day for the rest of my life. At least that's how I think of it. So I've decided to reduce my outreaching goals of last week, and I'm just going to try to make sure that the actions that I plan to do, that I can do them consistently, because I have had too many times, and I've already mentioned it in previous episodes, that I know that I have an idea, I go for it 300 miles an hour and I just hit my head to the ceiling because I feel burned out, I'm tired, I don't feel like doing it anymore. So I really need to focus on the consistency because that is going to get me the best results in the long term. And that actually brings me to the accountability part of this series of these solo episodes. And I'm not going to do an accountability session this week because it's not synchronized with the accountability thing that I have going on with a friend of mine. So it's really confusing for me. I have these goals for the podcast, but I also have these goals that I discuss with my friends. So I'm going to skip this accountability session so that I can make sure that next week I have the same goals or that the two are aligned, which right now isn't the case and it's just a bit confusing. So stay tuned for that. And that's it for today. So if you like these all over the place episodes where I'm brutally honest about how my life is going, then make sure to like and subscribe on YouTube and follow on your favorite podcast streaming service. And then I wish you an amazing day. Bye-bye.